Well, I think we'll get started. So my name is Rebecca and I'm from Quantum RLV here in Sydney. And today we've got our webinar on working in the kitchen with low vision. And it's going to be presented by Mike Palmer, who's our low vision consultant up on the Gold Coast. So I'll just go through our just a bit of webinar housekeeping for people that might not have joined one of these sessions before. So we will keep you muted, or if you can make sure you're muted during most of the session, just to avoid any background noise because we are recording. You can use Alt and A to mute yourself or click on the microphone button on the toolbar. If you do wish to ask a question, if we will have time for questions at the end, if you use the Alt and H, to get to the chat area, you can type your chat there, and yeah, so you can also raise your hand if you really want to speak. I think that's Alt and Q in the chat, and we are recording this and make it available afterwards. So just a quick overview of what we're doing today. So Mike in a moment is going to give us a bit of an introduction and overview of what today is all about. We're then going to play a video demonstration that Mike has recorded previously to show some different aids and equipment that might help you with low vision, and some that are also text to speech in the kitchen area. And then we'll have a question and answer session. So I will, without further ado, will hand over to Mike.
Lovely. Hi everyone, thanks for attending. I think we've got 52 people attending today, so that's really good. Over the past few months, Quantum has been looking at how we can help get some information out there to people regarding simple tasks around the home. And we've done videos previously on using specific pieces of equipment, but we thought it might be good to focus on more tasks instead of the equipment themselves. And this is probably the first video of many that will be coming through where we can focus on the different parts. So what I've done is I've pre-prepared a video showing different situations and tools that we can use for those situations to try and help out and get a better understanding. I guess it's similar to the way that a consultant from Quantum would do a consultation if we attended. So what we'll do, we'll play the video, and then at the end of it, I'm sure you have a million questions, and hopefully I'll be able to answer those and we'll go through them. So if we can get that going back, that'd be great.
Yep. Okay, so I will just share that. So here we go.
Hi, I'm Mike from Quantum RLV. Today I'm standing in the kitchen with a number of devices that might be able to help you with your daily tasks. There's lots of different types of devices available, from large magnifying devices, optical magnifying, through lamps, through handheld magnifiers. We have electronic magnification devices now that are available. And we even have little devices that can read text out to us aloud. So I thought we'd have a play with them, and that way you can have a comparison. Okay, I thought we might start by having a look at how we might go about finding out the ingredients of an item. There's many different options, so we'll start with our lamp and have a look at that. We're turning the lamp on with the light behind it. The ingredients are this section here, and I know it's quite small on the screen, so let's have a look how that might compare. And you can see there's a little bit of reflection there, and we just move it around to be able to see that. The magnification level on this it's about 1.75 times, so it's a great entry level magnification, but the actual text itself is just a little bit bigger. Let's have a little play with something like the handheld version. Handheld version has a light on the back also, and similar idea, but we have to consider how we focus. And so if I've got movement, as you can see here, I've got a bit of movement there, so it might be a bit hard to follow it. Focusing is important, of course. Okay. Let's try the electronic version. So this is our Clover 6. So it's got a little camera on the back and a lighting system on the back too, so I can place it in front of it. You can see straight away we get quite a good image on there. And of course you can make it as big as you like by pressing your buttons. So you get quite a good image there. And the stabilization of the image seems to correct all my movements, so that helps. And finally, if we move this out of the way, I might just have a look at our big machine here and see what it does on that one. So of course our big machine just is amazing. It can pop it there. There's an adjustment on the top of it, so I can make things bigger and smaller, so I can really zoom in on it to see what it's saying. There is within the electronic devices also the ability to change the contrast. So contrast changes colours. There's a lot of different options there. Some will be better than others for some eyes, so it just depends on your situation. And we'll also try it with the devices that can read to us. So this is the Orcam Read. It's the device with the camera on the front and a little laser pointer. You can probably see if I do that, you might see a little laser pointer. So I just point that towards the text that I want read out to me. So in this case, I just point it to this section here.
Made in Australia from
and it starts to
95% Australian ingredients.
Read out the ingredients to me. And I can do the same with our other little one, which is the Orcam MyEye 2 Pro. So this is the one that attaches to the side of my glasses here, and it has the ability to recognise my finger. So what I can do is I can, by the same thing again, I can point towards the text, takes the photograph of it, and then it starts to read it out to me, and I can stop it. This one has the ability to read barcodes too, so any barcode on the product I can show it, and it can read that also when I hold it in front of it, which is really quite handy when we sometimes have fonts that are not normal, and getting technology to read unusual fonts can be quite tricky. So the Orcam certainly does help for that sort of thing. Some of the common issues that we do find with all of these sorts of things is shiny surfaces. We've got something here that with lighting on it can sometimes produce a shiny surface, and we've got to be a little bit mindful of positioning and how that might affect things as we're doing it. So often there's a little bit of a skill required with all of these devices. It doesn't matter which one that I play with. It does take a little bit of adjustment to be able to find the sweet spot for it. And often things like this are great for little spot reading, but if I was to read a menu, for instance, or recipe with something like this, it sometimes might be a bit hard to track it. So we'll get out a recipe and we'll have a play and see how they compare for that too. I think that's important. Okay, so we've got our recipe book with our recipe in there, so let's see how the different devices compare for this. And we might start with, of course, the simple one, which is straightforward there. Again, we have to be mindful of how our movement is and our focusing. There are issues around around the focus there. And of course, as I pull it out, you can see it gets some distortions on the edge as we move around, and the amount of text that we see at any one time with higher magnification, of course, is less. Our little Clover 6 device with the handle that does fold out. Nice and simple to use. And the beauty with the electronic ones is that they do have that mode where we can change the contrast, and which for some people can be quite helpful. So that gives you a bit of an idea how that might work. This one we can actually sit it down on there as well. So hopefully you can see that. And something that is possible with this one is that with the text that's on the screen, I can take a photograph of that text, which remains on the screen then, and I can zoom in on it and move around on the screen. That can be quite handy to be able to do that. So it's a clever little thing, and I can release that. Let's have a little look at how it compares on the big screen now. So you can see the magnification level is massive with this thing, so there's no visual fatigue at all. The Digimax has the remote control, which simple to use buttons on it, making things bigger and smaller. The ability to change to all those colours like we've seen previously. And as I mentioned before, some are going to be easier for some people than others. And that's the beauty with these things. There's no rules around it. We can set it up to meet your needs. One of the things that I think is worth noting with the Digimax, not only is it a great device for being able to do this magnification at a larger level, and I'm just going to move the camera just so that you can see something. This camera that's on it is actually a camera that I can move off into the distance, which does mean that I can show, you can possibly see there that I can see things off into the distance, which can be handy, you know, if I wanted to see a clock across the other side of the room or anything like that. So it's quite a handy thing, and it's easy to flip it back down and turn it back into a near device for my near tasks. And it's got the built-in lighting, of course, too, which is quite important. Let's have a go at using the all-cam devices on our cooking here.
20-odd lean pork, minced 2009 peeled green prawns, chopped 1 egg 9, lightly beaten 1 garlic clove, crushed 1/4 cup, 16 oyster sauce, 16 eggs, BCM square Wotan wrappers, C-note.
Okay, and so I've paused it there, which is handy, you know, if I'm up to this section and I just want to do my bit and come back, okay, what's next? And I can continue on. So nice and easy to do.
Cut into 3.
Press it to stop it. I think it's worth having a little play of the Orcam My i2 Pro also. It has the touch panel on the side there, and you'll probably notice if I give it a little wake up just to show you. It might actually recognise me in the camera. So it's looking at the numbers that's on the camera itself. But we have a little go at this one also. So that way, what I've done there is that I actually pointed to where I wanted it to read from, and I could actually take a photograph of the entire section there and start from the beginning to the end if I wanted to, just by simply tapping the device on the side, and that's what takes a photograph. So I could hold it in front of me like that, tap the side of it, and it actually read the little overlay there. So that's something that's worth noting too, that with these sorts of devices, is that they will read the text within the view of it. So with me holding the book like this, you could see this page over there. So sometimes we've got to change our technique a little bit to make it easier, but this certainly makes a big difference in the kitchen. So let's go and have a little look in the pantry and see how we can play there. Okay, let's have a look in the pantry and see how we can get around finding things in the pantry. I guess you could imagine that it would be quite difficult to be able to use something like the handheld magnifier, because I've got to get within a working distance of it. So to be able to look at something from back here is virtually impossible, and I'd have to get in close or pull the items out, which is fine. But if I'm searching for something that could be hidden in there, and you can see mine's quite full, so to be able to find something could be quite tricky, and that's where the portable ones like this with a distance camera built into it can certainly help. So this Clover 6 device has the handle that indicates to the device whether I want it in the normal reading mode or I want it in a distance mode. When it's in its distance mode, I can use it like that, or I can fold out the handle like that and hold it. And it's possible for me to be from a distance away from it and be able to have a look inside there and search around from back here. Instead of getting my head into the cupboard and looking around, I can actually view things around using the device. And of course, if I wanted to, I could do a general one from back here, and I could save it on the screen, and then I can zoom in and move around, and that could give me a good overview of what's in there. A nice tool to have, and of course I can release it again. Now, I guess also the other thing that we could use is our wall cam, where you can probably see if I point it on the cupboard here, there's the red dot. So it's possible for me to, whatever items I'm looking at, point to it, and then it can read the information to me. But again, I've got to be able to point to it, or if I use the yaw cam that's on the side of my glasses now, it certainly wouldn't be able to give me an overview of the items that's there, but each individual item I could certainly get hold of the item itself. In this case, I could use the barcode on it, and it can read out what it is to me. So nice handy thing to do. Next, I think we should have a look at is perhaps having a look in the fridge, and I guess maybe the fridge is very similar to the pantry idea, where we need that general overview to be able to find things, and certainly I think this little device is handy for that, because we can zoom in, we can use the distance aspect of it, and there realistically isn't anything like this else on the market that can zoom in on something from a distance. That's the beauty of the Clover 6. So I think this is a great little all-round device for spot reading in the kitchen. If you're going to read larger, bulkier amounts of text, that's where the bigger devices are certainly superior. And of course, with the smaller text, you really do need to have the ability to enlarge things in a larger scale, and that's where the large screens make a massive difference. particularly as you find if your vision is at a level where it really does need it. So we might have a look at how we might use some of the magnification to help you with preparing your food. Let's have a look. Okay, let's have a little look at how some of these devices can help us with our cutting up, I guess. Now, one thing I should say, this is not a cooking show. I'm not here to show you how to cut things, and of course be careful with everything. One of the things with magnification and any movement that you do under magnification is that the magnification of your movement is also a part of it. So judging distances and things like that can be an issue, and it's important to take things nice and slow. So that being said, disclaimer done, let's have a little look. So let's start with our basic little magnifying device. And if I pop that in front, it will give you a bit of an idea. I'll line it up there. With a piece of tomato. So that can certainly help you to get a bit of an idea of whether your tomato's going off or anything like that. And to work underneath that, you've got to be mindful of the imaging that you're getting is not necessarily a 3D image, so judging distances can be a bit of an issue for you. And to be able to work underneath that, how your fingers might get in the way can be a bit of a challenge. And that goes with all magnification. So, but you can see how that'll give you a bit more of an overview. It's a larger lens versus, you know, if I use something like this, I've got the challenge around how am I going to hold this in front of it. Not that I would do it that way. Impossible with really high magnification. And when I say really high magnification, you know, anything really four times or more is a bit of an issue. And even using something like the electronic version that we've got here would be a bit of a challenge to be able, because it doesn't allow me to do it hands-free. So a little lamp like this is great for this sort of thing, providing that I get over the top of it and I actually focus it. And one of the things that we do find, we get a doubling of the effect of it if the lens itself is too far away from my work. So I've got to get it within the right range, and then I can work underneath it and I can see what I'm cutting. If we did a comparison using our electronic magnifier here, I'll just turn the light on. Certainly a substantially bigger work area, and I can see my fingers here and how I might be able to cut across using that. So there's challenges around using magnification, and it's doable. A lot of people do it every day. I guess a lot of people do it through not using any of their magnification also. But I think handling food, it's important to ensure that the food itself hasn't gone off, and that's a challenge to be able to see that. And these sorts of items can certainly help to be able to identify things like that. So I hope this gives you a little bit of an idea of some of the options available for helping in the kitchen. There's challenges out there, and some of these items for some people are going to be fantastic and for others not so good. But certainly if you've got any questions around it, please contact us. We're only happy to help out and give you a bit of guidance if needed. So thanks again for watching. Bye now.
Okay, so thank you, Mike, for that. If people have got questions, then by all means put them in the chat. Yeah, and we'll go over to a bit of a question and answer session. Or even if people have got tips of, things they use in the kitchen.
Actually, while we're waiting for things to come through, Beth, we had a question about microwaves and how we might be able to use a microwave. And it's not something that we sell, but I know that there's available. We can get microwaves that do talk to us, so the buttons on it you can press and do it. The alternative, if you're wanting to maintain and use your vision for it, using that Clover 6 device, I can actually hold it up in front of the pad on the on the microwave, and I can work underneath it and see the numbers and see the keys I'm pressing. So that's an option for that one. But yeah, you can certainly get a talking microwave. I think Vision Australia do them, and they're quite successful. A lot of people love those. So
okay, so we have got one question in the chat. So saying, can you identify the names of the items that you were talking about again in the video?
Again, so as you saw, that was the Clover 6, and that's the brand new device that we've got. We haven't had this one very long, and it's fantastic, fabulous device. The big device behind me here is the Digimax, and that's got the camera that flips, does the distance and the reading also. The Orcams, there's two Orcams or two different formats that's available now. The Orcam Read, and the Orcam Read was really geared at people that had some sight, maybe dyslexic people, because it does use a laser pointer to be able to point towards the area that you want to be read out, versus the Orcam My i2 Pro. And this is the one that I've actually got some magnets on the side of my glasses, and as a person that, whether I'm visual or not visual, I can read the text that's in front of me, and it can be set up to automatically recognize the text. The Orcam My i Pro is something that's been developed over a period of time, and it has evolved. And the current model of it's just amazing what it can do. But all of these OCR devices, the important thing with it is that they're only ever going to be as good as how good the lighting is, how still I am. If my head's shaking and moving when it's taking the picture, it's going to have problems reading the text. The quality of the text, things like that play a big part. So one thing with OCR technology is that I guess it's probably 95%, 98% accurate in comparison to, say, an app that's probably 70% accurate. They have all sorts of problems and they rely on the internet. These things don't. So there's a massive difference between them, and Orcam have put a lot of expense in developing their OCR technology, which is unique throughout the world. So it's fantastic, amazing piece of tech, but in the right environment. It's not going to suit everyone. Our older clients that might have head shakes and things like that might be an issue. So we've got to consider all that, and that's what we do during the consultation. We evaluate everybody and determine what's going to be the best solution. Often there's things that we haven't thought about, and I get inquiries, lots of inquiries from OTs, and I always suggest that the OTs just call us anytime. If you're not sure about how to guide someone, we're only a phone call away. Give us a call. We're happy to guide you towards what might be good. You might get a thought that the handheld magnifiers, which is how we've always traditionally done it. There's challenges around the stronger ones. The harder it becomes really hard when they're really strong. So we tend to go towards the electronic versions these days. This is probably the older way that we used to do it. There's probably going to be some questions regarding around funding as well. And of course, we deal with the NDIS, DVA, My Aged Care, all of the funding's private. And we work closely with OTs in reporting for some of the things like the Orcam, because there is some information that needs to be considered with that. So I think that pretty much covers this. We've got some more questions there, Beck?
Yeah, so someone's asked, will an iPhone magnifier app replace handheld video magnifiers? Did you want to talk to that? Or?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So as with any iPhone, number one, a person that has got poor vision or low vision, they have to have a higher skill level to be able to use their own iPhone. So advanced skill level to be able to use it. So that's the first thing. Secondly, a lot of the apps require internet access as opposed to these things. None of these things do. So yes, there are people that are using apps, but they're not as successful as we probably would hope that they would be because of all these challenges around it. And some people are happy to learn it. Often we find that a lot of the clients that I'm seeing at the moment, they're elderly and they don't even have a smartphone. And those that do, they just use Siri on it and that's it. So it's there's limitations around that.
Yeah, thanks for that. Well, someone's asked us for some brochures, so we'll get those through. Okay, so somebody's asked if there's anything that could read aloud digital text as like text on a Thermomix. You could try the Orcam.
Yeah, you
For
can.
that, I have had, haven't tried it on a Thermomix, but.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, I went to see a gent the other day who was actually dyslexic. So I took the read along, and what he was keen to do was to use it on his phone. Digital text, read text out aloud to him. He says, I know that there's stuff built into it that he didn't want to, he knows it's there, but he didn't want to know about it. He just wanted a simple solution, something he could just take out of his pocket, point and shoot. So I said, well, let's have a play with that. And that's exactly what we did. We did it with his messages and it read it fine. Now, something to consider with any screen is that the screen might have reflection on it. And as a sighted person, if half the word's missing, my brain makes up for it and I can still read the text, but devices can't. So it's important that it's in a good environment where there isn't any white lines, any reflections that's taking away part of the text. But yeah, definitely you can do that in the kitchen on the Thermomix.
Yeah, and I've had one with a guy I've been working on it was actually a pool water testing machine which had a screen, and it did read off that. You had to, again, with the reflection, be in the right environment, but it would do it. So it would be worth a try.
Right.
And just with the name of the Orcam, it's Orcam, ORCAM. There was a question about so it's I think it was Israeli or Hebrew for light or something. Is light or eye or.
It's funny. I've been asked a few times what does Orcam mean. My answer is I don't know. But,
okay. Yeah. And someone's asked about the Orcam. Does it work for people with no vision? By all means, try it. I've personally seen a lot of people with no vision using it. Some of the features like the pointing would definitely easier if you've got some vision, but it's not impossible. So it's definitely worth a try. So I've definitely had people with no vision that use it. So
one of the things that I had a client that totally blind, and he was using it, and we talked about the pointing, and what he said to me was that with a page of text, he doesn't know what's on that page, and if it's a bill, it's very confusing to get it to read the whole thing. So what he said, that using his finger, he can create a mental map of areas on the page by pointing. He knows he's pointing in the top corner. He knows it's reading that area. And so creating a mental map as he moved his finger around, and the beauty of the Orcam, it'll actually, if I leave my finger there, it'll read and stop where my finger is, and then I can move my finger to another spot and it tracks my finger and begins reading just above where my finger is. So he had a great idea with that. Being able to create this mental map in his mind about what's on the page.
Yeah, and I guess the beauty is most, one particular bill from a company, it's always going to be the same, well, pretty much layout. So,
once you find things, you know where everything is and tell everyone.
And I've also had someone that's able to use that by slowly turning something, they were able to get the barcode feature working as well, even though they couldn't actually see the barcode.
And that barcoding, that's just something I should probably mention. One of the things with the barcodes is it's registered barcodes through the Australian barcode registration, and not every barcode is registered. None of the ones are through Aldi, so unfortunately it's only Coles and Woolworths, and I guess it's probably 60-70% of items that are registered. So it's something that if it doesn't work, you can actually, if it's an item that you have regularly and you've got 15 jars of different things and 2 of those don't work, you can actually program into it and tell it what it is so that you can teach it yourself. So there's ways around it.
Yeah, somebody's asked about the if we have the talking scales. We don't, I believe Vision Australia or someone might have those.
Yeah, they have lots of homeware things, also things like the liquid levels for around the cups and things like that.
Yeah, that's sort of, and someone's asked like the Orcam i2 versus the Pro. The Pro's got some slightly newer features, but the previous version has still got a lot of still does the reading the text and.
Yeah, and the Pro now It's a Smart Pro. So what that means now is that there's the ability to put it into a smart mode, where once you put it in that mode, it takes a photograph of the entire page that you've got, and then it stops and it says it's ready. And then there's the ability to ask it questions. You can say to it, read the headlines, and if it's a newspaper, it identifies where the headlines are. And then you can ask it to read the second article. So it's handy for things like that. If it's a bill, you can ask it to read the amounts, if there's dollar signs next to the amounts, or ask it to read dates, for instance. And it'll not only just tell you the dates, it'll tell you the text around the dates to put some context on it. So it's a really clever piece of technology. And they're currently working on some other background things that the new Pro can do, and it's more in its beta testing mode, so it's a little bit hit and miss, but it's quite clever, where you can ask it what's in front of me, and it can guide you towards doorways, chairs, tables, let you know if there's a staircase going up, not down because you can't see it, of course, but going up. And these orientation things are not something that they've perfected yet, but it is included in the current version of it, and it's getting better all the time. It's really clever technology.
Yep. Okay, a couple of other questions. Can the OrCam read music, or do we have anything that will, similar devices to read music? It unfortunately won't read music notes with it. But...
No, unfortunately it won't. Music notes are something that if they were notes where they were printed out, yes, but not to actually read the music in the way that a musician would read the music. No. There is other software and things like that coming out available for that, but currently, no, it can't do that sort of thing.
Yeah. So there are some softwares we've been looking into, but that will do that sort of thing. And if for people with low vision, possibly, I think we've had people using like the virtual reality type devices. We haven't looked at those today, but there are some wearable type electronic magnification devices.
The latest version, the ASight VR, right, which is a head-worn device. It's a device that essentially has a camera on the front, and within it, it's got some lenses so that you can see the screen inside of it, and a handheld remote control. Head-worn devices are something that for some people are fantastic and others not so good because of the associated giddiness as such. None of these devices are designed for you to walk around with them. You can't orientate around a shopping centre or anything like that. It's the sort of device that you would sit on your couch and either read or watch a television with it. But like what I've discussed in the video, magnification of size also has magnification of movement. So anything that's on head-worn, as you move your head, it moves, but the downside with head-worn magnification and video magnification is that there's a slight lag, and this slight lag is what causes some giddiness that's associated with it. They're fantastic devices, and recently I saw a lady that has purchased one because she couldn't see the TV. Now she could watch the tennis that's currently on. We tested it. She could see the ball where she couldn't see that before. So it was a great solution for her. And this lady was healthy. She didn't have any tremors or anything like that. So it wasn't an issue. So there are things around that,
Thanks for that. Someone's asked, is there a possibility for clients to rent smaller items through NDIS funding, for example, rental for trial to establish suitability? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we can do that. So we can quote for that. So if people have got funding for, assessment type options. So we can certainly trial equipment with people. Okay, what category of AT does the Clover fit into? Is it consumable or AT? I think.
Depends on this one.
The 6 might come under consumables if it's under 15.
Yeah, it's. I think, what is it, $1,100?
1,100, yeah.
Yeah. So it's under that $1,500 mark. So it depends on the size, because there are other Clovers as well that I didn't have in the video, which is like this one that I've got in my hand, which is a Clover 10, a 10-inch screen with a camera on the back. Ones like this start to get up into that mid-cost range. So it depends on the item.
Yeah. Okay, with the OrCam, does digital text require the Pro or the older OrCam 2? No,
Both the same.
yeah, for the tech in terms of that text reading.
And
okay.
actually, before we go further, Beck, something I don't think I mentioned with the OrCams is that neither one of them will read handwritten text. It all has to be a fonted text. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, another question, I think someone in the chat has already answered it, but will OrCam read street signs when looking for restaurants? So it can, but you obviously got to find the street sign. But yeah. So, but if
the OrCam will read any text that a normally sighted person would see, and then you'd probably have to be a third closer to give you a bit of a guide. And the tricky part might be that in a shopping centre, say, or there might be something where you're wanting to find the signage of a particular store, but the OrCam doesn't know which bit of text you want read out. So it's going to read all the text within the imaging. So if I do that sort of thing where I touch the side of it, it's going to read everything. And sometimes that can be quite confusing.
So yeah, just technique. Yeah, but I mean, when we generally sell training with it, if that's what you want. So to set people up, because and somebody's commented that apparently the Queensland Association for the Blind also have a big range of the kitchenware type items. So if you're that way, so that's another good option. So thank you for that, Jenny. Any other questions? I think that's I've got. I think I was just going to see, because we did have some people submit questions before. Some of the questions we had, I mean, it might be more for OTs about. Cooking, lighting. We do have some task lamps and things that might be helpful to have over your cooker, but we don't do lighting assessments as such. But your OT or someone might be able to help a bit more with that kind of aspect of things and techniques for cooking and that kind of that kind of thing. Yeah,
lighting is something that's always something that you should consider. Certain conditions, too much lighting can be a problem. So it's not always about making things 100% brighter. Conditions like macular degeneration, we might want to consider reducing the lighting a little bit to enable them to use their peripheral vision. So it's not always an automatic go-to make things brighter, depending on the condition.
So yeah, I guess it's just what works for you. So I think that was most of it. So yeah, I think that covers things. And somebody did ask about different sizes of portable magnifiers. So the clovers that Mike showed that's just one of the ones that we've got. So there's if anyone wants to look at our website or get a catalogue, we've got a whole range of things.
They can even be that small. So
so they come in a whole range.
So yeah.
All right,
that's good.
Yeah. Just a question about OrCam and Bluetooth headphones. Yes, you can connect it to Bluetooth headphones. And and you can connect the ones with a jack as well, like the 2.5.
There's a wired option as well on the Reed.
Okay, and do we have payment plans to purchase products? We have got a system with OpenPay that people can, if they're eligible for that. Yeah, we can talk to you about that if you're not eligible for funding. And we do home demonstrations? Yeah, we do have a range of local consultants. So just depending where you are, we do home visits in a lot of situations. So just depends whereabouts you are.
And typically, if you, and whether you're an OT or a customer, or it doesn't matter who it is, if you contact our head office by phone or email, they'll put you in touch with the right consultant for your area. And happy to come out and see you.
That's what the latest OrCam series update name is. The Pro, I think, has got version 9 of the software, if I'm remembering correctly. I think, the other one's version 8.2 something, I believe.
I must admit,
I've lost. We can get back to you on that. But there's not been an update to the OrCam 2 for a software update for a little while. But
wonderful.
Okay, well, thanks everybody for joining, and thank you again, Mike. We will get the recording round to everybody. So Yeah. Yeah, I will send that around. She give us a few days to sort that out, and we'll
Wonderful.
get that to
Well,
you. Lovely. Okay. Cheers. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See ya.
Thank you for attending today, everybody. If you'd like more information about any of the items that we've shown you today, or are interested in a demonstration, please contact us on 1300 883 853 or by email info@quantumrlv.com.au, or you can visit our website quantumrlv.com.au. Okay, thank you.